Subscribe now if you're brave enough to keep watching. The old Ridgeway Diner sat on the edge of a quiet highway where truckers pulled in for late-night coffee and long-haul drivers swapped stories to stay awake. On most nights, Lisa enjoyed the solitude of her overnight shift, the hum of the fridge, the smell of burnt coffee, and the flicker of fluorescent lights above her head. But that night, something felt wrong. The silence outside wasn't the comforting kind. It was heavy, stretched too tight, as if the world itself was holding its breath. At 2:37 a.m., the bell over the diner door jingled. Lisa looked up, but no one was there. The door had swung open on its own, creaking slowly before shutting again. She frowned, checked the lot through the window. Only one vehicle sat outside, an old blue pickup parked at an odd angle. It hadn't been there earlier. The driver's door hung slightly open, and the engine was still running. She waited, expecting someone to walk in, but minutes passed. The headlights dimmed, then cut out entirely. Lisa grabbed her notepad and stepped out into the cold. The air smelled metallic, like rain and rust. "Hello," she called. No answer, just the hum of the fluorescent sign flickering behind her. She took a few steps toward the truck. That's when she saw it. Muddy footprints leading away from the door, across the lot, stopping abruptly at the edge of the woods. But there were no return prints. The path ended there like the person had vanished mid-step. Her breath came out in sharp clouds. Something was moving in the tree line, not walking, more like pacing. She stepped back toward the door, eyes fixed on the dark. The movement stopped. Then, from inside the diner, the sound of the coffee machine sputtered to life. Lisa froze. She hadn't touched it. Slowly, she turned back toward the window. Through the glass, a figure stood behind the count. Hair, tall, motionless, the silhouette of someone wearing her uniform. Her mind raced. The door to the diner was still locked. She hadn't unlocked it when she stepped out. Heart hammering, she reached for her keys, but they were gone. She glanced toward the truck. The headlights flickered on again, blinding bright, and in that second of glare, the figure inside the diner moved closer to the window. Lisa stumbled backward, breath ragged. When the lights went out, the figure was gone. Only her reflection stared back. She rushed inside, locking the door behind her. Everything looked normal, no sign of anyone else. Then, from behind the counter, her name echoed in a low whisper. It came from the direction of the coffee machine. Lisa crept forward, her trembling hand reaching out. The coffee pot was full, steam rising from it. Next to it sat a folded piece of paper. She unfolded it, her heart pounding. 5 words, written in her own handwriting. "Don't let him back in." Her stomach dropped. Outside, the engine of the blue truck started again, but when she looked out the window, the truck was gone. And that was the moment she realized the muddy footprints that had vanished outside were now leading into the diner. Lisa didn't sleep that morning. By the time dawn broke, she was still sitting at the counter, watching the sun's reflection creep across the diner floor. Her manager, Bill, arrived just after 7, grumbling about late inventory logs. When she told him what had happened, the footprints, the truck, the note in her handwriting, he laughed it off. "You've been pulling too many overnights, Lisa. You probably just scared yourself." But she hadn't imagined it. She knew what she saw. Bill checked the cameras to calm her down. The footage from the night before showed her standing at the counter, pouring coffee, checking her phone, stepping outside, then static. When the feed returned, she was already back inside, pacing, looking terrified. But there was one detail that made her blood run cold. When she stepped back in, the diner door never opened. "Faulty recording," Bill muttered, closing the laptop. "I'll have it checked." Lisa quit early, drove home with her eyes glued to the rearview mirror. Every time she slowed at an intersection, she swore she saw headlights behind her the same bluish tint from that truck. But when she turned onto her street, there was nothing. She locked every door, pulled the curtains tight, and finally collapsed on her couch. That's when her phone buzzed. An unknown number. One new voicemail. She pressed play. Static. Then a low hum, like an engine idling. And beneath it, her own voice. "Don't let him back in." She dropped the phone, heart racing. She hadn't said those words aloud. Not once. The message repeated 3 times before cutting off. When she checked the timestamp, it was recorded at 2:37 a.m., the exact time the diner door had first opened on its own. That night, she called her coworker Ryan, who sometimes covered the night shift with her. He picked up on the first ring. "Lisa, I'm glad you called. I didn't know who else to tell." His voice shooed. "Kay, you remember that truck, the blue one? It came back last night." Lisa froze. "You saw it?" "Yeah," he said. "Pulled in around 3 a.m. Same make, same model. But no one got out. It just sat there, headlights on. Then the door to the diner opened by itself. I thought it was you." Her chest tightened and... What happened after? Ryan took a shaky breath. The truck's headlights turned off. When I checked outside, there were 2 sets of footprints this time. One leading into the woods, one coming back out. The line went dead. Lisa stared at her phone, waiting for the call to reconnect. Then a notification appeared, new voicemail from Ryan. She hit play. It was mostly static again, but faintly she could hear Ryan's voice whispering, "He's not gone. He's waiting inside." Panic flooded her chest. She called the diner, but no one answered. Finally, she grabbed her car keys, heart hammering, and sped back toward Ridgeway. The diner's neon sign flickered weakly against the night fog, the parking lot empty. She stepped out slowly, phone light trembling in her hand. The front door was unlocked. Inside, everything was still. Her reflection shimmered in the chrome of the coffee machine, pale, shaking. Then she saw it. Muddy footprints again. This time, they led straight behind the counter to the employee break room. She followed them, every step creaking beneath her shoes. The break room door was half open, swaying slightly. She pushed it wider and froze. On the table sat Ryan's phone. Screen cracked, flashlight still on. The words "voice recording 2:37 a.m." glowed faintly across the screen. She pressed play. There was no static this time, just one voice. Calm, deep, male. "You shouldn't have come back." The recording ended and the break room light went out. The next morning, the Ridgeway Diner stood silent under a gray, heavy sky. Police cars lined the lot. Red and blue lights flickering weakly through the fog. Inside, the coffee machine still hissed, brewing a pot no one had started. Sheriff Carson scribbled in his notepad, shaking his head. 2 missing employees, 1 abandoned vehicle. No signs of a struggle, just the muddy footprints, the same size, leading from the door to the break room, and stopping there. By evening, Lisa's car was found a mile down the road, headlights off, driver's side door open. Her phone sat in the front seat, screen cracked but still recording. The audio was mostly static until the final 30 seconds. A voice, trembling. "He's not gone. He's waiting for someone else to clock in." Then the faint sound of the diner bell jingling. A week later, Ridgeway reopened under new management. Locals said they didn't want to see it shut down. It was the only stop for miles. The new overnight clerk, a quiet man named Henry, didn't believe the rumors. Ghost stories, he thought. He'd worked worse jobs. The first few nights were peaceful. The same regular truckers stopped by. The same songs hummed from the old jukebox. But on Friday, something felt off. At 2:37 a.m., the bell above the door jingled. Henry looked up. The diner was empty. The door swung open, just a crack, before closing again on its own. He frowned, glanced out the window, a blue pickup idled by the pumps, headlights flickering. He called out, "We're closed!" No response. When he blinked, the truck's engine was off, the driver's door open. Henry sighed, grabbed a flashlight, and stepped outside. The air felt thick, pressing against his chest. The truck was cold. Empty. Then he saw them muddy footprints leading across the lot toward the diner. He followed them back inside, shining his light down the narrow aisle between tables. The footprints stopped just behind the counter, right in front of the coffee machine. It started brewing by itself. Henry jumped back. Steam hissed from the spout. Then, from beneath the counter, a small note fluttered to the ground. It was stained, crumpled, the ink smudged by coffee. He bent down and picked it up. Don't let him back in. The handwriting was shaky familiar somehow. He turned it over, and his stomach dropped. On the back, faintly written, was the same phrase again, but this time in different handwriting. Smaller, messier. "You're next." The diner lights flickered. Every bulb popped in rapid succession, plunging the room into darkness. Henry's flashlight cut out. The silence was suffocating. Then, from the speakers above, static crackled through the intercom. At first, it was faint breathing. Then, layered beneath it, another sound, the creak of footsteps. Slow, coming closer. Henry backed away toward the door, fumbling for his keys. The bell above the door jingled once more, but it wasn't from the wind this time. In the glow of the jukebox, he saw it a shadow standing behind the counter, tall and still. A faint blue light shimmered across the glass, reflecting headlights that weren't there. And then he heard her voice, Lisa's voice, whispering softly through the static. "Don't stop. Don't ever stop." The lights went out completely. The next morning, the diner was empty again. No Henry. No footprints. Just a steaming pot of coffee, brewing on its own, exactly at 2:37 a.m. Those who drive past Ridgeway Diner at night swear they can still see the faint glow of headlights parked out front. The same blue truck, engine humming quietly. And if you stop for coffee after midnight, you might just hear the bell above the door, even if you're the only one there. If this story haunts you, hit subscribe, because the next one will make you question everything you know about fear.